Good evening. It is Tuesday. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend, and hopefully the show will go off as planned tonight. Was running as usual, trying to get home and get this done. But it's always a blessing to come and present something to you all. Tonight's show is a little different, but not so much different. It's still a conversation piece. Today we're going to talk about God or evolution. It's that whole big question of God creating everything or the Big Bang Theory. But before we get into that, as always, we want to do some advertising. And first, let's start off with me this week. RPC Computing, where RPC is your PC. Repairs, upgrades, and consultations. Located in Lansing, Illinois, 773-416-2955. Rochelle Millsap, Remax agent for all your residential real estate needs. And if you need any help with commercial needs, I'm sure she can put you in contact with someone. Kevin Character King, spoken word artist, got a CD out called I Am Character on iTunes and CD Baby. Also has a book, Character's Book of Poetry. Here's a little sample.
I see new faces in old places. Places I grew up called home. And these faces in old places are faces not of my skin tone. Yet they come from various places, do these faces, to purchase themselves new spaces in these vacant places, which have now been renovated, upgraded, upscaled, and updated.
Ready to implode on impact. And there are many in my family like me, better than me, all is deadly. And we can either be friends or foe.
Reach out, check that brother out. Our next business is King's Cubby Daycare, located 8825 South Colfax in Chicago, Illinois. They've got a nice website. It's called kingscubbydaycare.com. Check them out. They've got some good information there. The phone number's at the bottom of the page, 773-364-0497. One other thing I wanted to put out there is a website I go to a lot, and they always have good stories, so we always trying to direct you toward African American, Black, whatever you want to call yourself, type of stories. TheGrio.com always has a lot of interesting stories going on. Also, want to say on Thursday we're going to talk about historically Black colleges and universities. A lot of us have kids thinking about going to college, getting ready to go to college, and we want to kind of push out there still the importance of historically Black colleges over PWIs, predominantly white institutions. We'll talk about that more on Thursday. I don't want to get too much into it today. So today, as I mentioned, I put out there. I love the History Channel and Discovery Channel and all these little channels that do all this research and bring you all this information and these scientific facts. And scientific facts are mostly just theory. Certain things work a certain way, and we've been able to figure out how they work. But there's a lot of us that believe that you're figuring out what God already knew how it worked. There's this thing about evolution and how the world was formed and that we evolved from smaller organisms into the man that you see today. There's a scripture in Genesis, and I guess you always have to start at the beginning for what God's input is on this. Genesis 1 says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. God also said in Genesis 25, and God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth at his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over everything that creepeth upon the earth. We sit on a rock in the middle of space. Now, the Big Bang Theory says something exploded, and then within a matter of minutes, the universe came into existence. Minutes. You're talking in trillions and gazillions of matter spreading out through space at such a rapid rate, creating solar systems, galaxies. And for some reason, we're on the only planet that has life. The planet itself is alive. Now, scientists will tell you that all these rocks came together and crashed, and these molecules came together and then formed this. Only life can create life. Didn't God say he was the beginning and the end? Are we searching for God out there when we do this space exploration, or are we searching for a better existence? Like I say, we live on a planet, and the structure of this planet, this is how amazing God is. I'm giving you some facts about Earth that you may not know, because everything seems to be working out right, and it can't be a coincidence. The Earth is, I got my facts I'm looking down here at. The Earth is moving through space. So we're saying it takes about 24 hours for the Earth to make one spin on its axis. At the same time it's making that spin, it is moving through space at a little bit over 66,000 miles per hour. Not only are we moving at 66,000 miles per hour, the sun is moving also at about 45,000 miles per hour. Not only is the sun moving, But the galaxy that we sit in is moving at about 22 million miles per hour. You're telling me that's not a God? Why aren't we crashing into everything? Why isn't everything spinning out of control? We're not the only galaxy. There are billions of galaxies. There's billions of stars. I personally believe there is life on other planets. And I would like to see that. But when we look at our Bibles, God doesn't mention life on other planets. He doesn't mention a lot of stuff. So we have the evolutionists who give us these stories on how life began and how these molecules came together and formed this first single cell animal, and how we left the water because life began in the water. It's a vital part of any planet out there. We are the only planet that has liquid water on it, as far as we know, and all of our 40, 50 years of space travel and exploration. We sit in a zone around a star called the Goldilocks zone. It means we sit in an area where if we were a little closer, the water, the atmosphere would burn off and the water would evaporate. Any further out, and we would freeze. That's a miracle in itself. As I said earlier, the planet is alive. So even when we weren't here, and let's get this fact straight, God does not recognize time. That's something we recognize. If he's the beginning of the end, there is no time frame to reference. He was here from the beginning and he'll be here to the end. But to make it easy for us, we live on a planet that's alive. Everything that we ever needed was placed here. And we all know the cycle of life. If the plants aren't here, we aren't here. If the sun doesn't shine, the plants aren't here, we aren't here. Our atmosphere protects us from the sun. It's amazing. If you ever sit down and watch the Discovery Channel, and I look at a lot of it, like I say, some things I can believe. The planet being alive, it protects us from the elements of space. So if this planet is alive, now according to the evolutionists, there are billions and billions of crashes and big bangs that happen throughout the universe. And recently they found a lot of Earth-like planets, or they've given us renditions of Earth-like planets, or they've just recently in the last 5 years or so been studying or making more discoveries of planets that are orbiting stars and hoping to find a place. And I don't know if it's a place of, if we destroy Earth, can we go somewhere else? Probably not, because most of these planets are so far away that it would take hundreds of years to get there, hundreds of light years to get there. Right now, they're looking for people to volunteer for Mars. And I was telling people when the movie The Martian came out, I said they're trying to set people up to believe we can get you there and we can inhabit this planet and do all types of things and make this place inhabitable. Maybe you can get there. According to them, it'll take maybe 4 years to get there. They're not guaranteeing anybody safe passage back. They can't even guarantee you safe passage there. I mean, we've seen the space shuttle and all these other things. So it's just a theory that we can go out here and space hop and conquer new worlds. But back to the evolution piece, the piece that says we as mammals came from smaller beings like moles, not moles, but rodent type creatures along the evolutionary tree, and somehow there was a point in time when we split and apes remained apes and we became Homo sapiens or Neanderthals. There's also the out of Africa theory that life began and started in Africa and spread it throughout the world. And there's a lot of people want to try to debunk that because they just don't want to hear it. I think blacks are the only pigmentation that can create all other colors. So, and all other colors can't create black. So, therefore, we have to be the original people of the planet. You know, if they can debunk it, then debunk it. Show me any other color that makes black, and you can't. So, among the evolutionary tree, something did happen where pigmentation of skin, if you lived in colder climates, your skin did not need as much melanin in your skin because of the colder weather. Melanin usually was people in more tropical areas, and then there were other skin pigmentations that changed, and they believe it was because of climate and adaptation. That doesn't mean humans are different. If we follow the story of Adam and Eve, we don't know what color they were. We just know they were the first two people on the earth, and God told them to be fruitful and multiply. A lot of people get into well, if it was just Adam and Eve and they had two sons, and Cain killed Abel, then what happened from there? Uh, did when Cain was kicked out, who it says that he took a wife, but we never know who the wife is. I think in I got it here, Genesis 5 chapter 4, it speaks of Adam and Eve having many sons and daughters. Cain, Abel, and Seth are just the ones that are mentioned. They don't mention all the other names of the children. And during that time, since it was necessary to be able to populate the world, of course, it wasn't looked upon as incest at that time. Incest at that time, it was looked at following the word of God to be fruitful and multiply. Now, Cain was kicked out of the garden. We don't know if other children were kicked out of the garden or how it came to be. But all we know is during that time, people lived much longer than we do now. I think Adam lived maybe 900 and something years. So in that time frame, you could have fathered a lot of children, and they don't say how long Eve lived, but they just say that they had many children. Now, one of the things I look at when God said, "Let us make man in our image," I have to take that serious and say, I don't think God's image was a Neanderthal or a rodent in the field or any one-celled animal that crawled out of the ocean and billions of years later this is what we have. It's always a matter of we can't really straddle the fence on this. Either you're going to be an evolutionist or you're going to believe the word of God. Now every religion has God at the top as the creator. So there's no religion where God, no matter what they call him, is not sitting at the top of all creation. So no matter what the scientists say, this is what some of us believe. Of course, you have people that don't believe in God, and that's a miracle in itself that you have to make an announcement about something you don't believe in. If I don't believe in it, I don't have to talk about it. But to each his own, because we have tons of religion that don't believe in each other. But the topic tonight is evolution or God. I'm just making a few points here of the way my mind looks at it. And like I said, I know it's a different topic than we normally talk about, but nobody ever sits down. You get into debates with people about the existence and how we came to be here. And it said it very firmly in the book of Genesis. It explains it to us. It tells us. And now there's always this question about the dinosaurs and things like that. It said it right there in the beginning that God created all the beasts of the field. And then a lot of people don't get the understanding since God has no representation of time, a day to us could be a million years to God because he has no reference of time. So it doesn't say anything about dinosaurs not existing. They were beasts of the field. So there was all types of things going on at that time before he created man. We look at the universe and have to say to ourselves, wow, this was created by God. I often wonder when Jesus said, in my father's house there are many mansions. Was he talking about the universe and everybody having a place, a part of the universe for themselves? That would be amazing. When we look at the universe and the power and the energy, the destructive power, and we're flying around through space and this planet's density and gravity is holding us on a rock that's going through space at 66,000 miles an hour. You don't even feel it. God's power is beyond our understanding. That's how incredible he is. And this is not to debunk any type of scientific things. Like I say, I love the Discovery Channel and the History Channel. Watch it all the time. I'm just saying we have this debate all the time about evolution and God as the creator. Probably more species died on this planet before we were ever even thought of. The dinosaurs died. Other species may have died. Maybe those species sat right along other species. We don't know. But science always gives us something to think about. And that's what I like about science. They always say dogs are the relatives of wolves, and coyotes are the relatives of wolves. We don't know. We weren't here. We don't know if dogs were here from the beginning and wolves were here from the beginning. Woolly mammoth elephants look like big hairy elephants. All we know is we find fossils and they make a storyline, and either we believe it or accept it. Like I say, some of the stuff they come up with, it's amazing. You ever thought God gave us all this because he knew in order for our minds to grow, he would have to put things in our sphere that would encourage us to investigate, to explore, to do more, to seek him out. God could be amazing like that. I'm probably gonna watch some Discovery tonight. My TV lives on the Discovery Channel a lot. I get excited about all the stuff, but I never let it take me too far away where I'm like, because in order for me to believe that, I have to stop believing in God, and that's my point tonight. Either you can believe in science or you can believe in God. All the science we know, God already knew that, already put it out there. He already put it together. He said, let there be light, and there was light. Bang. He spoke it into existence. So if he can speak it into existence, all you can do is try to understand. We're going to call it a night. As always, love, peace, soul. We out of here.
Let's continue to examine two more scientific unknowables of the very first verse in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the very first verse of the Bible, we find a remarkable piece of evidence of supernatural authorship. In the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. The Bible speaks of the creation of time, space, and matter in the very first verse. For thousands of years, scientists and philosophers had speculated about the basic components or makeup of the universe. It wasn't until the 20th century that physicists confirmed that the universe, at its foundation, consists of space, time, and matter. In fact, space and time are so tightly linked that astrophysicists now speak of a space-time continuum. While scientific and philosophical speculations about the basic structure of the universe has varied widely, the fact that the universe consists basically of space, time, and matter, a scientifically accepted fact since the 20th century, was clearly foreseen in the very first verse of the Bible, written 30 centuries ago. How could the writer of Genesis and the first verse of the Bible have known of this scientific truth that would not be confirmed until over 2,000 years later? But also, in the very first verse of the Bible, we find yet another astounding piece of evidence of supernatural or divine authorship. First, consider this. It is an undeniable fact that the number 7 is a biblical number of completion or perfection, or specifically divine authorship. Over 500 times in the Bible, the number 7 is used to show the touch of God or divinity upon something. This begins with the 7 first days of creation, and the 7th being declared by God as holy. When we look at the natural world around us, we discover that there are amazing arrays of 7s. There are 7 continents on the globe. Modern geographical classification schemes count 7 oceans in the world. There are 7 colors in a rainbow. There are 7 notes on a musical scale. There are 7 stars in the Big Dipper, and this heavenly sign has been used to point to the North Star or the guiding star since the most ancient of times. 7 objects in our solar system are visible to the naked eye. 7 digits in a row has been proven over and over to be the average limit of memory for most human beings. Thus, we have only 7 digits in our phone numbers. There are 7 metals of antiquity upon which civilization was based. The periodic table of elements consists of 7 distinct levels. And on the 7s in the world around us go, each representing God's divine touch of completeness upon something. Now, with this in mind, consider again the very first words of the Bible, the very first verse, one sentence, translated in English as, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth."